Before we start the video, I just want to say thank you to all my new subscribers. I am so appreciative of your support. It genuinely makes a huge difference and helps get out what I think is an important message. So, several online creators have been outing themselves for having preyed on children. And while some people are upset, there are a surprising number of people supporting them for being brave enough to share their story. First of all, though, it's not their story. It's the victim's experience, and it should be their decision to decide if they want their story told. Secondly, a guilty conscience can really eat away at you, which seems to be what led to Cosmodore confessing to his problematic behavior. Guilt is powerful, and apparently Cosmodore does experience guilt. But are we really going to sit here and celebrate the fact that he's not a sociopath? Like, oh wow, he knowingly did horrible things and tried to keep it secret because he knew he was wrong, but at least he feels guilty after the fact? Even worse, these were not one-time mistakes. These were patterns of behavior that he engaged in for an extended period of time. Cosmodore knew what he did was wrong, which is why he tried to vaguely disappear into obscurity. His channel is already back, as he apparently missed the attention. However, in his taking a break from YouTube video, he states that he had something festering in his mind since the start of the year. It's doubtful that it's a coincidence this mental unrest started shortly after he tweeted and then deleted his first confession to dating a minor back in December. He states he needs a lot of time to reflect on the choices he's made on the internet. He also admits he made his YouTube fame his whole identity. Yet he still attempted to pretend his disappearance was burnout related and did not mention his own revelations about dating a minor. Cosmodore knew exactly what he was doing. He engaged in a relationship with someone younger who looked up to him. They were 15, he was 20. He was emotionally manipulative to this person. He preyed on their desire to care for him. He kept this person secret. He knew his friends wouldn't approve. He knew her family might not approve. He knew it was illegal. But he shut out everyone who might have encouraged him to make better decisions and set better boundaries. Whether intentional or not, he groomed this person. It started off with innocent, joking texts, which progressed to explicit drawings. As an adult with YouTube fame, he asked this person their tolerance level, after which their messages became even more severely explicit. He planned a secret meetup. When asked about the details of the relationship, he lied. He admits to being abusive towards this person. He stalked this person. He was relentless in trying to contact this minor after their relationship ended, even though the minor had requested to be left alone. This minor had to create completely different social media accounts, and yet Cosmo still stalked her and her friends to find out what those accounts were. And yet there are still those who believe Cosmo's behavior was nothing more than an innocent mistake. From my perspective, that's a lot of secrecy and calculation for someone who just made a simple mistake. Cosmodore is 21. He's an adult. He's traveled the world and made a career for himself. Please don't treat him like some ignorant 12-year-old who made a mistake once. We can't minimize it simply because we don't think he's evil. You don't have to be an evil criminal mastermind to do bad things. Those bad things are still bad, and they still have lasting negative consequences for those he's hurt. He fully admits he knew what he was doing. He kept the girl he was dating a secret because he knew it was wrong. Yes, Cosmodore may have had some poor examples in his life, but I absolutely disagree with the narrative that he didn't know any better. He himself told us he did. In his Twit Longer, which was an addition to the confession he made on his community tab of his channel, Cosmo tells us we shouldn't trust him. He also admits he knew that his decision to date a minor would come back to haunt him, and states he didn't care at the time. He still defends having a section of his Discord server dedicated to explicit photos and explicit cartoons, even though this private server was mostly, if not all, underage fans. In his comment on Daft Pina's video, he also explains he knew he was in trouble, so he figured he might as well go out with a bang. He shares that he has no real intention of leaving YouTube because he's too proud of everything he's become. He even admits to fully lying about parts of his story. Worse yet, on the 26th of July, Cosmo states there's no use even bothering to try to change. So we don't need to speculate whether or not Cosmo has changed. His own words have already told us the answer. Cosmodore knew exactly what he was doing, and the only thing he cared about was protecting his career and his public image. Don't be fooled into believing Cosmo didn't see the age difference. At the age of 19, Cosmo repeatedly joked about how other creators who were only 16 were practically babies, and yet they were older than the 15-year-old he harassed and exposed to pictures requiring disclosure of a tolerance level because they were so explicit and gross, as he put it. Yes, technically consent laws are very lax in Germany, and thus this may not have been illegal where Cosmo lived, but it's my understanding that the minor did not live in Germany. And just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. Just because it happens doesn't make it okay. A 15-year-old is still going through puberty. Their body literally is still in the process of developing. There's a huge difference between a 15-year-old and a 20-year-old dating versus a 25-year-old and a 30-year-old dating. Not because the age difference itself has changed, but because at that point in your life, you've developed your own personality and beliefs and aren't so vulnerable anymore. Do not be fooled. Older guys who are insecure talk to younger girls because they know it's easier. There's nothing unconscious about that decision. They can sense people who are more vulnerable, and they're drawn to those people. Just because your insecurities lead you to prey on someone younger does not make it okay. Having low self-worth is not an excuse to prey on and be abusive towards a child. If someone is consistently showing a preference for underage people, that's a problem. It's also disgusting that these people who prey on children keep dragging their fans into it. Fans who also happen to be children. It is some of the most selfish behavior I have seen. Regardless of their age, your fans should never be responsible for your mental well-being. But especially when most of your fans are young, people have a tendency to feel close to the YouTube creators they watch and admire. So they're going to care if you're going through a hard time. They're going to feel bad if you're struggling. But what's worse is that, especially as children, they're not going to know what to do about it. That is an enormous emotional burden to place on them. I've debated whether or not to include a clip from Cosmo's YouTube story where he desperately pleads for someone, anyone at all, to be his friend. The level of emotional manipulation and poor me was sickening. If Cosmo cared even the tiniest bit about his fans, he would never put them in that difficult position. He actually has support services already in place, and as an adult, he's old enough to know not to do something as toxic as make his young fans worry about his safety. You may not like the services that are available to you, as Cosmo has claimed. You may not think they're good enough, but that does not give you an excuse to turn to a child for support instead. Adults should not seek emotional validation from children. I'll link the clip below for anyone who does want to see it. I don't think it's necessary to speculate on whether this is related to the animation community. My takeaway is this: bad people can exist anywhere. Anytime there is opportunity for power, there will be someone who will take advantage of it. However, the "I'm not a role model" defense is ridiculous. I've seen the statements like, "I didn't ask to be put in this position." But the thing is, you did. You chose your career. No one forced you into the public eye. You wanted to make content, and you wanted it to be seen by fans. You chose that. You could have chosen a different career path, but you didn't. Don't be fooled into believing this was a one-time incident. Cosmo admits he engaged in similar behavior with more than one person even before he started his career on YouTube. This wasn't a mistake. It was a continuous pattern of behavior, not only in his relationships, but in his friendships as well. I haven't even covered the toxic bullying Cosmo has engaged in, so I might get into that in a different video. I do have a few quick comments regarding the Daft Peanut video. I'm glad they raised awareness of the situation, and I'm glad they gave the victims a voice. However, the way they teased the release of the video came across as a PR stunt from my perspective. In addition, it does seem like they bullied people into sharing information with them from the screenshots I've seen. I was also disappointed to see 8 ads on a 12-minute video. I do understand that YouTube may be his job, and he needs to make money. However, 2 minutes into the video, I had already watched 4 ads. All those mid-roll ads on a video about someone grooming a child does seem to be a little bit tasteless. I feel very conflicted about how he handled things. However, at least the message is out there. So what do you think of the Cosmodore situation? Do you believe he's changed? How do you feel about him putting his channel back up? What do you think about the consent laws in Germany? Should they be reevaluated? How do we help kids and teens from falling into the trap of being manipulated by their favorite adult creator? Feel free to leave any thoughts you might have in the comments below. Also, if there's a specific topic you'd like to see me cover, please let me know. Thanks again to everyone who has subscribed, and I'll see you guys in the next one.